Hey guys, it's Javi from Prompt to Product podcast by Formwise, and I have another special guest today, a good friend, Andrew Brockenbush. Please tell me I didn't mess up your last name,
Got it, man.
Andrew.
You got it right.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, so I actually met Andrew in his home state of Texas at the GHL summits. He's been really big in that whole community, and yeah, he's just an awesome agency owner. So Andrew, if you want to kind of introduce yourself to our audience, our Formwise user, all of our community. Tell us a little bit about exactly what you do, and we'll just dive into the questions here in just a minute.
Yeah, sounds great, man. Yeah. So first of all, thanks for having me on, man. This
Yeah.
is always fun. I love, every time we've ended up at an event together, we've spent the entire time together. We always
Yeah.
have a great time. So grateful to be here. My name is Andrew Brockenbush. As Javi already stated, I own an agency down in Houston, Texas called Beefy Marketing. We've been in business for, I don't know, nearly 13 years.
Yeah.
And then just a few years ago, after we went to our very first ever SaaSpreneur event from High Level, we became what I would like to call like a bit of a SWAS, a software with a service, right?
Right.
So
Right. I remember
agency.
that.
So we own Wingman, which is our white labeled version of Pro
Mhm.
High Level, and we have a bit of a hybrid model where we offer kind of all of our full service digital services that we offer, and then we also offer the SaaS as either a standalone or kind of like bundled in with like most of the
Right.
core deliverables that we offer. And yeah, man, got our start doing primarily just like websites and branding, which I think
Right.
for most
Hosting.
agencies, that's kind of where you get
Right.
started, right? Hosting.
Yeah.
And then have just kind of scaled it. I mean, 13 years, like we've seen the agencies, like the world of agencies really change from
Yeah.
like back when we could run a Facebook campaign and just crush it every time to
Right.
like now where you're like constantly having to dial it in and figure out the algorithm. Like we've really kind of seen the shift of the agency space.
Yeah. Yeah. And before we dive in all the awesomeness there, my audience has to know, why is it called beefy marketing? Tell us a little
Yeah,
bit
man.
about that.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So
Yeah.
people love, first of all, people love the brand. It's become, it's one of those brands that's really like stuck to the point that like it's almost been personified. Like
Yeah.
I can't go to an event or I can't go out into town in my community that I live in without people saying like Beefy, what's up,
Beefy.
Beefy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
it's like
Right.
this become this like name, which is really cool. But a couple different reasons. My dad owned a cattle ranch. And
Yeah.
whenever he passed away, it was like kind of when I first went to start my business. I drove this big old farm, like say old farm truck, but it was like this big looking farm truck. And I
Right.
remember talking to my buddies and we're like, what should we call a business? And it was like, oh, what about Beefy? And I was like, oh, that kind of fits me, fits the truck.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
and
there's
it's
this,
a great brand.
it's a
Great. I
fun
mean,
brand, right?
yeah, no, and I actually still have the pen you gave me like a
Nice.
few years ago. I use it almost every day still. It's still got ink. I'm counting down days when I'll ask you to send me another one. It's a great pen, by the way. But yeah, it's a great brand. And one thing, guys, I love about Andrew is he's, of course, in the marketing space, but he's a very creative person. Of course, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about your projects. What is the most exciting thing you're working on right now in all of your projects across your agency, or
Oof.
I've seen you've been speaking to, so tell me what's the
Yeah,
most.
there's man, I'd say that there's like a lot of like we're doing a lot right now. Like I'm
Right.
doing projects for me. I'm doing a lot of collaborative projects where I'm finding people like you and being like, hey,
Mhm.
Javi, I got this idea of something that we can kind of
Right.
joint venture. I think the two things like me personally, like I'm most passionate about that I'm doing like for myself
Right.
are I'm in the middle of writing a book. I'm about halfway through
Oh,
writing the book.
nice.
So I'm really excited about that
Yeah.
because it started off as like I was gonna make it just like a really basic foundational marketing book. It was gonna be like,
Yeah.
it was literally gonna be called WTF as marketing, and I was gonna give it to business owners.
Hmm.
And then as I've started writing it, I hired a book coach. It's like really shaping up to be like much more of like a leadership around business
Yeah.
book. And I like even yesterday, me and my girlfriend, like we listened to chapter 4 because like after we write it, we'll like play it back with the AI and listen to it so that
Yeah.
we can kind of get a feel for how it flows. And
Yeah.
we were both like, oh my gosh, this is like so relatable, which is
Yeah.
weird when you relate to your own story, you know? And so
Right. Right. Right.
that has been really cool. The other project that I just launched, like soft launched last week, is a brand new school community called Small Business Nation.
Hmm.
And really kind of the reason for that was that I noticed that there was just this world of entrepreneurs and business owners that like want to work with a marketing agency. They're just not ready yet. Like they
Yeah.
can't
Right.
afford that, you know?
Right.
And they need like a foundational space that they can hang out where they can get the lessons that they need to learn. Like, how can
Right.
I get my own reviews? How can I get my own SEO up? Like, what can I do
Right.
until I'm ready to actually spend money on marketing? And so we soft launched that last week. And honestly, like I'm really kind of geeking out
Yeah.
about that. We've already had our first,
Yeah.
signups. And so it's like, all right, cool. This is going to be a thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's also interesting too on the agency side. seeing how small businesses specifically are a little anxious about AI. Of course, at Formize, we have a lot of Formize builders building tools for the end user who is a small business owner. And we like to sort of use the methodology like fill in the blank AI because a lot of these business owners, you put an open-ended chat in front of them, and it's still a little bit sort of analysis paralysis, or they don't really, it's like they don't know how to use that sort of intelligence on demand at the moment because
Yeah.
you need to articulate it. And I sort of see agency owners, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Like agency owners, of course, for a long time, we've been like the conduits for like web, launching a website, email marketing, like these technologies in the cloud. Now we're essentially playing the role of being the conduit to AI deployment. How have
Yeah.
you sort of seen that? What AI technologies have you used in your agency for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, for one of the ones that we're using a lot is like, this idea of like vibe coding, right? Like everyone's
Yep.
talking about vibe coding and
Yep.
and
Yep.
leveraging AI to really, I think, allow us visionaries and creative people to be far more technical than we've ever been able to. Like we've always
Right,
been the
right.
first to like adapt and adopt new technology,
Yep.
but like we've still had our hands tied to the stint of like, oh, I've got this crazy idea for this crazy software. Now I have to go pay a developer to help me
A
take
developer.
it across
Yep.
the. Now it's like, well, we can kind of like ideate really fast.
IA very quickly.
And
Yep.
I'm loving being able to leverage that for my clients, of being able to
Right.
say, like, you have a challenge or a pain point in your business, and high level and Formwise and all the other technology companies are really great.
Yep.
But there's sometimes like that one thing that they need
Super.
solved
Yeah.
for their business, like super
Yeah.
niche, like
Super
super,
hinge. Yep. Yep.
and that has been a lot of fun. And it's funny that you talked about the fact that like, you put them in front of a blank form that they have to, or not even a form, but like a blank chat box that they have
Yeah.
to fill out. And they're like,
Yeah.
uh,
It's a black
and
box.
somebody
Yeah.
asked me like what I thought the future of software development looked like. And I was like, I think that there's going to come a time when companies like Lovable and Replit get smart and realize that the only people that are playing in that chat box are the people that are technically savvy, or at least
Yeah.
they're willing to
Yeah.
trial and error.
Yeah.
I think that what they're going to have to adopt their products to do is to say exactly what like Formwise has done so well is
Yep.
like,
Yep.
hey, like fill in the blanks. Like,
Yeah.
what tool do you need to build? What kind of problem are
Right.
you trying to solve? And if
Yep.
the person just can feel like that's a really intuitive user experience,
Yep.
and then it builds the thing,
Yep.
that's really cool. Like they don't feel like they have to be smart because like even though you and I know that if you vibe coded, it's not that technical. I
Right.
think most business owners, that's still really intimidating.
Yep. No, I look, and obviously I'm a co-founder of Formize. I've played with the vibe coding technologies. I'm a big fan of Manus. Manus is
Yeah.
like a more agentic. It kind of sort of does it. And one thing I noticed very quickly, and I almost use ChatGPT with it. I kind of, in a sense, sanitize my requests through my ChatGPT sort of copilot before I send them to Manus, so it can build an
Yeah.
architecture much better. So what you're saying is basically, and again, this is the opportunity. Like I see all the time with like people who sign up for Formwise, and really any platform where you're essentially building an AI asset is that your end user fundamentally, right, is going to use ChatGPT probably with your product, but the actual value of it is the IP that is wrapped into a vibe coded app, a
Exactly.
smart form, a copilot, that framework, that IP that, lets you, for example, you probably have a secret sauce on launching the perfect ad campaign for a small business. Like you probably have that nailed down or launching the website or something. That whole process can essentially be wrapped into what we're trying to coin sort of an AI monetizable asset, something you can gate,
Absolutely.
something you can sort of pair inside of your value ladder, inside of your membership, inside of your course, even. We've seen that time and time again. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's an interesting time because I remember when I was in my early 20s, I used to go even no, I was like 19 or 20. I used to go all the time to the Atlanta Tech Village, and there would be startups that would basically pitch down there for venture capital. And I'd just sit in the crowd, and like the winner would get to go pitch to Sequoia and stuff like that. And it was basically an actual startup incubator. And I
Yeah.
remember sitting in my seat, like I was just like, oh man, I just wish I knew how to code. And I remember back then I paid like I didn't have a lot of money. I mean, I was working as a teller at a bank part time. I was trying to go to school still. I paid somebody off Upwork or Fiverr like 200-300 bucks to basically mock up some UI screens of my startup idea. And I used Figma Make the other day, and I just gave it some idea that I've had for like 6 years. I gave it like the prompt. I had ChatGPT build a prompt for me, then I sent it to Figma, and it sort of built out the whole like it wasn't a workable app, but it was like, oh my gosh, I could like have used this to go raise capital back then.
Oh, capital.
It's a
Yeah.
lot harder to raise venture capital nowadays, but back then they were giving money.
Oh,
If you
all the
could get
time.
that, yeah, if you could get that far with a working like beta and then get like 100 people that were said that they were interested, you could raise capital fairly easily. But yeah, it's just amazing how times change, and I think it is so important for like I would like there's a visionary and the integrator.
That's right. Yeah.
I would say I'm a visionary. I have a little bit of integrator in me, but more so I'd fall more on that camp. I would say, would you say you're more of a visionary or are you more of a
100%.
hybrid too? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you and I are the kind of people that we have to be,
Yeah.
we've become a bit of both because like
Yeah.
by proxy, like if we didn't, we wouldn't have been able to like
Yeah.
get where we're at so far.
Yeah.
But 100% I lean visionary.
Yeah. And like you said, your clients say, like, for example, we have a big niche in Formize, and I hope our competitors aren't listening, but it's okay because our product is superior, is life coaches. So life coaches will come to Formize. And every life coach has like their own like framework, like their own process, right? Like some of them start like, hey, let's map out your dream day or your dream life or your dream morning, like something to visualize. And then they have sort of these plans to sort of execute, declutter their life, all that stuff. I'm not a life coach, but again, all the frameworks are there, right? And everybody has their own sort of style. Some sort of focus on women, other on entrepreneurs, other on parents, and it's just a really interesting sort of community. But more than anything, right? So if you go to ChatGPT right now, you tell it to act as a life coach, it can certainly do it, right? It's probably pulling from some sort of predictive thing that it scraped somewhere on the internet, has no soul in the sense.
Yeah.
Um, but if you are a coach and you have a framework and you have a brand voice and you have a style and you have experiences of transformative experiences like little hinges, you can actually map that into a prompt in the sense it's not going to replace you. Like a lot of people talk about, oh, it's just going to replace coaches. I think it's just going to help coaches that truly do have that sort of transformative edge, that transformative framework for their clients to be able to help more people at scale, or at
Yeah.
least help them when they're not available. If they can't jump on Zoom calls, well, maybe they have access to your coach AI workspace, and then you can see their chats and see what things they're actually struggling on. So that's where I see that sort of future. And I say that because I'm going off tangent, is from a creator's point of view, nobody is going to create that that exact thing ever. It's going to have to be that
Exactly.
creator. You're the only
Yeah.
person with that vision. You're the only person with those experiences. It's either going to exist or it's not going to exist. And no Silicon Valley company is going to obviously raise millions of dollars to build a software like that. It's going to come from you. So I sort
Yeah.
of call this almost like indie software in a
Yeah.
sense. It's super niche,
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
and I'm a big fan of that. I've even and I know you have projects, and I really want to ask you this too. Like one thing I've been vibe coding is the like sort of niche local web apps, like
Yeah.
directories for very niche things. I did one for some local trails that I'm about to launch. I'm gonna promote it in a Facebook group, mostly as an SEO play for backlinks and stuff like that. But it's nobody else is gonna create that. Like nobody
No.
else is probably ever gonna spend, especially software, like hundreds or thousands of dollars to build a web app. But I was able to do that like in 24 hours.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So
I mean, I
so
think that I think that there's like this new era of software. Like I love that like the term that you just used, like this like indie software. Because it's like it doesn't have to have billions of users to still be a successful product,
no,
right? Like,
no.
and
You know,
imagine if you
or
can
millions.
launch 10 or 20 tools in a matter of
Yep.
a few weekends, and each of them makes you 500 or 600 bucks a month.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
six, you got 10 of those sites doing 600 bucks a month. You're making six
Yep.
grand a month. Like
Yep.
you don't have to have these big programs with tons
Yep.
of features. It's like there is a audience that needs it. Like I'll give you a great example. This week, one of our coaching calls that we had that I was a student of this coaching call, and they were talking about like their outreach framework for selling on social, right? Like
Yeah.
on Facebook and on
Yeah.
Instagram. And he had like these 5 core principles that he followed every single day. Like, hey, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do I'm going to reach out to X amount of people on Facebook. I'm going to add X amount of people on my Facebook page. I'm going to post 5 times a day. I'm going to never leave anything on red. I'm always going to follow up.
Yeah.
And there's like five core things. And he gave a spreadsheet for everyone to use. Freaking hate spreadsheets like
I hate
so
spreadsheets.
much. And so
Yeah.
I immediately took his spreadsheet and I uploaded it into my vibe coding tool of choice, Lovable. And I gave it a very clear prompt, which I've gotten really good at prompting, right? But like I gave it a very clear prompt of what I
Yep.
wanted. I
Yep.
want a tool that allows me to keep track of these daily 5 outbound sales tasks. I want it to be gamified. I want there to be the ability for other people to use this same software. I want the person using the tool to be able to actually set their particular goals. So my top 5 are going to look different than your top 5. Like
Right.
these are the 5 rough, but like you have to set your own KPIs, right? I want the ability for it to be charged at just $5 a month,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
I immediately created it. Like 20 minutes later, it's built, like a working, really
Yeah.
well working prototype. And I send a DM to the guy that created this like protocol. And I was like, hey, just if you're interested, I created this just to make it easier to keep track of. And he's like, bro, he's like, I thought it would be cool to do that one day. And you're already like 20 steps ahead or whatever. And it's like $5 a month. If I got
Yep.
everyone just in the same coaching community I'm in that just all learned that
Yep.
same framework,
Yep. Yep.
all 100 of us sign up, there's my $500 a
Five
month,
hundred
right?
bucks a
Like
month. Yep.
it
Yep.
doesn't have to be thousands of members, and I think it even goes beyond that. Like one of the other ways I'm using it personally, and I think other companies are going to start to think like I am, is what tools am I already paying for in the business that are maybe too robust for what we need and they're
Right.
costing us more than what we need. Can I
Right.
replace that? Like one of the best examples of this is we spent a lot of money to integrate ClickUp into our agency
Yeah.
because it was like the big project management tool that
Yeah.
could do all the things and had all
Yeah.
the amazing features. And quite honestly, I think ClickUp is really a cool product. Like
Yep.
they've got some of the best AI
Yep.
of any project management tool that exists. But my team hates it. They're
Yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
is overly complicated. It's
Yeah.
not clear for our processes.
Yeah.
And so one of the goals that we talked about as a team is like by this time next year, we're going to develop our own internal project management tool that's built around our operations versus us trying to like fit the mold of what ClickUp has to offer, right?
Hmm.
And I've done that with a number of different things. I mean, I was
I
paying
might do
30
that with
bucks a
Monday
month for,
later. I'm just playing.
yeah, dude, let's just go, right? But I
Yeah.
was I was I was paying for other stupid tools. Like I was paying for one tool that literally all it did was created calendar buttons that you put on your landing pages
Yeah.
of high level for like
Yeah.
webinar registration and stuff
Yeah.
like that. 30
Yeah.
bucks a month for this stupid tool.
Yeah.
I literally was able to vibe code it in like 3 or 4 hours. It's now a production site. You can go
Hmm.
to, I think it's calendarbuttons.com. I own
Yeah.
this website and
Yeah.
anyone can now use this tool for free.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
lead magnet, right? And I have it set up so that if somebody wants to like customize their buttons, it asks for their email address.
Hmm.
That's like
So
freemium, right? It's like,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's, I don't know. I think that there's this amazing like opportunity for businesses and agencies to like leverage AI in a way that's
Yeah.
really, really going to be impactful.
Because agencies are uniquely alert to so many business pain points. Like we have clients who pay us for Facebook ads, like the run of the mill sort of GHL maintenance and stuff like that. And
Yep.
I see all the problems. Oh, their QuickBooks isn't talking to their patient portal, or their staff's not very trained on the on the task management, or like one thing we built recently was like the AI voice stuff. And
Yeah.
sometimes you can even get ahead of GHL here. GHL still doesn't have daily call summaries of all the AI voice, like it has every individual. So what we did is we built a tool where all the daily summaries go into a spreadsheet. Then that spreadsheet pulls the last 24 hours and it creates a daily call summary with our prompt because we don't want it to show all the negative stuff. It's just how many, specifically, this is for a pest control company. So we pull the data from there, how many types of animals were mentioned on the calls, types of calls, number of calls, how many billing requests, and we break that down in a beautiful report. That spreadsheet could be thrown, and I haven't done this yet. That spreadsheet could be thrown into because you just gave me that idea. Throw that spreadsheet into Lovable, for example, and have
Yeah.
Lovable just create a dashboard using that spreadsheet.
That's right. And what's really cool about Lovable that like I don't think many people know,
Yeah,
and I know I'm getting a little bit technical, so
yeah,
hopefully the technical guys are listening to the show this time.
yeah,
But like one of the things that I found is it is actually really easy to integrate a Lovable project with your Go High Level account. So
yeah,
I've got tools right now that this sounds so dumb because you're like, well, High Level's got amazing proposal feature.
yeah.
We have a client who sends proposals very uniquely.
Yeah. Yep.
Everything's based on like a lease model. They lease
Yep.
trailers, right?
Yep.
And so they were like, "Hey, like I love your proposal tool, but like it's still not like as, dialed in for what we do." And I was like, "Okay, well, what
Right.
do you do?" He
Yep.
sent me an example of a proposal. I was
Yep.
like, "Oh, I understand what you need." I vibe coded it into the tool that he needs.
Yep.
And then a thing that I don't think agencies like really click for them, I actually have that tool that I vibe coded for them linked in their actual high level account. So they don't have to go to this other tool. Like one of the
Mm.
custom links inside of high level now says like estimates. They click on it, it's embedded the tool that we built, similar to what you guys do
Yep.
with smart
Yep.
forms and things like
Yep.
that, right?
Yep.
And they can access the tool. But then what we did was we actually integrated it. So when they send a proposal, it automatically logs that activity to that specific context record
Oh my
inside
gosh,
of
that's
their
awesome.
CRM. So in
Yeah.
your case, like the spreadsheet serves as like, hey, this is kind of visually what we're looking for, but you don't even have to go from high level to the spreadsheet, from the spreadsheet to the, it's like,
Right.
no, just take a look at all of my summaries, generate me both a positive sentiment and a negative sentiment
Yep.
summary, and put it into a really nice dashboard that the
Mhm.
customer can see in one place.
Exactly.
Like, that's
And
freaking
this,
amazing,
yeah, yeah, no, yeah. And this one for this client, it's actually a franchise. It's like I think 80 locations. And this would be, yeah, yeah, you just gave me a really good idea. Like this would be a great sort of app to sort of pitch at the franchise level. It's industry specific. It would show like, because I know even if GHL built something like this, which would be great if they did, it's still just going to do the daily summary. We still
Mhm.
want to run that through a custom prompt that sort of breaks down, how many people called for dogs and cats, which they got to call animal control for that. They don't take those calls. So all those have to be sort of like little tiny nuances. And like I said, like agencies are very keenly, acutely aware of all these little sort of pain points that these businesses have.
Yeah.
Um, I
And
want
you
to
can
get your
sell
take
that,
on.
right? Like I
Yeah,
think as agencies, we're always looking for ways to like, how do we stand out? How do we make more money? How do we monetize? I mean, you
yep,
could build that custom app for 3,500 bucks. I'll just like a
yep,
baseline, like for like a tool that solves one problem, one pain. It
yep,
wasn't too hard to build.
yep,
3,500 bucks, for example,
yep.
like price similar to a website design.
Right,
And then you still charge a maintenance fee on it,
right,
or
right.
or you bundle it into a larger, marketing package, whether it's like a full service fractional AI advisor, fractional
Right.
CMO, or if it's just more of like a, hey, pay us $300 a month and we're going to keep this hosted, managed, update as there's feature changes that happen. So it's
Yep.
like that's a great way to like add to your kind of recurring revenue, and
Hmm.
it's not overly hard to offer
Yeah.
it,
Yeah. And especially if you're an agency owner that at least has some technical background, like you know what
Yeah.
an API is, you know what a webhook is, you know what a database is, like those things are going to be, and again, still fundamentally, just to circle back, do you think, and I know you think this, but for someone who is not that they're not creative but or have an imagination but they still have trouble sort of articulating that vision, do you have any sort of tips for those types of if somebody's listening to this and they're like, this is great but I just feel like I can't get the vision out into a good prompt, and I feel like if I explain it it's not going to come out exactly the way it is because there are things I don't know that I don't know. Do you have like sort of a tip to sort of get over that sort of operational or executional sort of barrier for
Yeah, for
someone?
sure. So I actually made like a what I call like a vibe code prompt architect for
Yep.
Chat GPT, like a custom specialist
Oh,
GPT
nice, nice.
that basically like you just dump like the core idea
Yep.
and it will literally build the entire flow out so that you can really like, and it will follow up with questions and ask you like,
Yep.
well, should this be monetized? Like, do you want
Yep.
these features? Will there be users? Like, it kind of
Yep.
helps you like think through the idea, but it'll also just help you come up with an idea. You can literally go in
Yep.
there and just say, I'm working with a med spa client. What are 5 potential pain points that they have that we could solve with a tool?
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
going to actually give you ideas. And you
Yep.
just say, oh, I like number 3. Let's build number 3. And then it
Mm.
will actually kind of help you kind of ideate there. And what I actually did for that GPT specifically was I took all the entire, like everything from Replit, Lovable, Base 44, like all of the big
Yep.
vibe coding companies. I took their entire like knowledge base, right?
Best practices.
FAQs. And I used that to power this
Oh,
GPT.
wow.
So like not
Yeah.
only is it, helping you write prompts, it's helping you write prompts in the way that those tools want you to write them,
Oh, yeah.
which I
Yeah.
think is really cool. And then I also gave it some like really good psychology knowledge base, like built around like how do we get the recurring revenue out of this tool, right?
Hmm.
And I really love actually using that. But I think that one of the things that I've gotten way better about doing, and I think that I would recommend to everybody, is just like use the like dictation functionality in whatever,
Yeah.
AI tool
Whisper.
that you like,
Yeah.
ChatGPT or Manus or whatever,
Yeah.
and just like brain dump.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
like I stopped typing. Like I've gotten to the
Yeah.
point now where I just
Yeah.
like I actually hold the function key on my
Yep.
keyboard and I have this cool
Yep.
little dictation tool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it literally I'll brain dump and then I'll
Yeah.
just submit it. And then I let that kind of flush out my idea of like, okay, like you
Right.
talked about it. Like you let
Yep.
ChatGPT like sanitize a thought
Yeah.
and then take it to Manus. I do
Exactly.
the same thing with vibe coding. It's like I
Yep.
start with my idea in ChatGPT, then I sanitize it and then take it over to Lovable before I actually start working on a project.
Yeah. And yeah, and I use the whisper tool, like the same
Yeah.
thing, control and then the Windows key. And then yeah, it knows all my jargon. Um, and that kind of takes us back again to what we're talking about earlier, how imagine you just put an open-ended chat to your client, right? They aren't gonna be able to I mean, the interface is your vibe coding, the smart form you're building, the copilot you're building with a identity prompt or a agent is essentially a sanitized product
Hmm. Yeah.
that is going to make that user go down a very specific user experience, a user path, an activation point, like getting the win, getting something
Yeah.
useful, right? And I think that is the whole, I think the value. There's so many little things like that that can be built into products or bundled into features into one big core product. And same thing what you were saying earlier, building these things for clients if you build it and you're maintaining it, I mean, sure, they can churn and everything else, but they kind of have to stick with you with that
It's a little
feature, right?
sticky. Yeah.
Especially if you're bundling it with like GHL. That's the thing I see, like GHL, people will like iframe a tool set and it's an industry specific tool set with like hundreds of industry specific tools that write blogs about all sorts of things. And
Yeah.
but if they churn or they go to another GHL client,
They
they're not
lose
going to
that.
just take that with them, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
right? And it also creates downsell opportunities. So, if they do leave, you can always say, hey, keep this for, $50 a month or whatever. But Andrew, we're almost at time and I want to respect your time. I know you said you were working on your book. Is that something that our audience can sort of expect coming out this quarter? I know I don't want to put pressure on you, but
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
love to share your book with our community.
Yeah, so I think I will be done writing it the first week of April. So the goal is to have it Q2 launch, like maybe mid-May.
Yep.
Fingers crossed. I'm really excited. I don't even have a book title yet. Like my
Yeah.
my book coach was like, let's get through half the book and then decide
Yeah.
if we feel like we know what the storyline kind of like
Right.
brings the book title out. So I don't even know what the book title is
Yeah.
yet, which is fun. I'll make sure that I'll what I'll do is I think because I'm halfway through the book, I can probably give a free chapter to
Yeah.
your audience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Please.
what I'll do is I'll get you a link
Yep.
and make sure that we kind of put that together. And I'll kind of put together like a full gift package for your
Okay.
audience. I've
Perfect.
got
Awesome.
a really cool package for podcast prospecting, which we didn't dive into, but like I know that
Yeah.
a lot of agencies, like the biggest challenge I hear from them talk about is like, how do I get more clients? How do I get
Right.
more customers? And
Right.
I feel like podcasting has been something that I've been
A hundred
coaching people
percent.
to leverage, just like this. Like
Yeah.
this builds a lot of rapport and
Yep.
relationships.
Yep.
And so I'm actually teaching people how to create podcasts for their agency to go get more small business work,
Yep.
which is really cool. So I'll give you a little bit of gifts around that. We just talked about we talked a lot about vibe
Yep.
coding.
Yeah.
I'm gonna gift your community that vibe coding prompt architect.
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Yeah. I'm
any
definitely going to be using that.
Anybody that wants to use that,
Yeah.
definitely take advantage of that. And then I'll make sure that we'll give a free chapter of the book as well because I'm really excited about what's coming from it. So
Yeah. Please let me know. I'll order one as soon as it's out. Yeah. Thank you for being so generous to our everybody in the community. So Andrew, I did want to ask you one more thing before you go that I forgot to ask earlier. Um, ChatGPT or Claude? I see those wars a lot on
okay,
the
listen,
timeline.
I it's funny that you asked that because I just got Claude like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
When first people first started talking about Claude, like when I first started using ChatGPT, I was like, Claude.
Claude,
I don't
right?
know why. It just felt like
Yeah,
the hoity-toity people used
yeah,
Claude, and it just was like
yeah,
boo. But I'll tell you this, man. My first test with Claude, I downloaded it on my Mac. I paid for the pro plan, which is like 30
Yeah.
bucks or 40 bucks a month.
Yeah.
And I just did one simple request. I said, my downloads folder needs to be cleaned up. Can you help me with it? And I kid you not, it comes back and says, you have 167 gigs worth of files in your downloads folder.
Wow.
And it followed up with a few other questions. How would you like us to organize it? By file type, name, date, and or a mix of both? And I answered that question. So as we talk about forms, like even these
Forms.
big AI models are starting to
Wow.
do this too, right? Like they
Yeah.
know someone
Yeah.
doesn't just want to go back and forth.
Of
So they
course.
asked that. Then they came back and asked like two or three more follow-up questions, to which I answered each one of them. And once I did, no joke, like 6 minutes later, it was like, okay, your downloads folder has now been cleaned. And I opened my downloads folder, and I kid you not,
Oh my
every
gosh.
every folders of items that were duplicates that needed to be deleted, pictures, like, and I didn't give it the organizational structure other than
Right.
by file type. It
Right.
took the extra step to go, oh, these are courses, oh, these
Yeah.
are PDF like e-magnets, these
Yeah.
are, and I was just like blown away
Blown away.
at what
Well,
that could do. So
I'll
it's
have to
pretty
get
cool.
you back on the podcast to talk a little about our V2 because V2 is going to be very agent focused, and I don't want to divulge too much on it, but we're basically rebuilding the entire platform from scratch.
So fun,
So
bro.
it's going to be some awesome things out there because we're really taking into account that sort of articulation. We think there's so much opportunity in that articulation there to build it as a product. But Andrew, thank you so much for jumping on.
Yeah, man.
I know you got to go, but again, we'll do another episode soon. Thank you, Andrew.
Sounds great. Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.